a lot of people think, oh my gosh, AI, that's big, bad, everything's going to be automated. There's always going to be a process. And it's a tool. And being able to use that tool and implement it within our lives, how much easier and better it is going to be able to support all of us, especially in our media careers.
Today, we have an awesome guest. We have Diana Smith, and she's VP and Market Leader for Endeavor Business Media. So welcome to the show, Diana. I'm really glad to have you on.
Thank you so much, Richard. I'm so happy to be here.
Man, well, we have a tradition on the Above the Clouds podcast where we ask our guests a real stumper. And the first question is, what's your spirit bird? Meaning, if your company was a bird, what kind of bird would it be and why?
So when I think about this, recently I just read the book, the Harry Potter series with my daughter.
Oh, so good.
I love those books, and it was a lot of fun to do that with her. But when I think about this question, I keep on going back to the Phoenix, because I love the story where Dumbledore is like, Fox, if you would just hurry up and just die, we would get done with it, and then you can come back to life. And I think that that's how I see business, and then that's how I would equate my spirit bird to would be the Phoenix, because we all have ups and downs, and it's just a matter of how fast we can get through and the resiliency that we have.
Man, that's a good one. That's I think you're the first mythical bird.
I know. Then I was thinking about that. I was like, well, do we want to, does it have to be a real bird? Do I have to pick a cardinal?
No, I love it. I love it. I think that Phoenix is such a great metaphor for business. As you said, think about, you and I have both been in the industry for a while. Think about all the times that, your career, you restart your career.
Yes.
It's really interesting. Every new job is a whole new beginning, and you still have all that retained knowledge, but it feels like you're starting all over again. So it's really, and to me, that's the most exciting thing. Think about the twists and turns, we've had in our careers is when digital first came out and then print was going to go away.
Right.
And then it didn't. Print got twice as big, and then the internet, and then all these different changes in the media landscape that you've seen.
Exactly. And I think that, it's not only, I always, at the beginning of each year, I have a meeting with my entire team, and we talk about, what we see happening, and I tell everyone, do whatever you need to do, but we've got to get your crystal ball out, whatever you need to do. But think about what that future is going to look like so that we can be in front of whatever is potentially what we think is going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen, but just like the internet and, like you said, print, but it's not only the media industry, it's also the industries we support.
Right.
So whether it be the oil and gas or power utilities or whatever those markets are.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right too. Every year if you're in sales is it's definitely an all new year. You have a whole new quota, and every month's a new start.
Right.
You start
every month, every quarter, every year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I've obviously known you for a long time, but why don't you talk to our listeners and walk them through your career and how you got here in your new position.
Well, so my career originally started, I'm originally from Akron, Ohio, so I was working at a PR agency in Cleveland, and we ran a media room for one of the conferences that we worked with, and I had a publisher that came up to me and said, hey, I need a salesperson, and I said, well, that's good for you. And he said, well, why don't you just come down to Houston, Texas, and at least look at the job? And I said, well, I don't want to go into sales. And he's like, well, it's a free trip to Houston. And I said, well, it's not on my bucket list.
Yeah. It's summertime. I don't want to
It's
go to Houston.
summertime, right.
That's the last place I want to go.
No. And so, obviously we're here in Houston, Texas now. And so I think we know what happened with that role. But I started selling for Trailer Bodybuilders magazine, which is the trucking and transportation industry. for, at that time, Penton Media. And this is what's interesting is that Penton Media was purchased, it then became Informa, and then is now Endeavor.
Oh, wow.
So I
Man.
started with Trailer Bodybuilders. That's still in our portfolio at Endeavor Business Media. But from there,
Full circle.
it's full circle.
Wow.
And I started into oil and gas markets right after that, about 5 years after I was with Penton. And then went into management about 8 to 10 years ago with Eastern Chronicle, and then with another oil and gas, an international oil and gas brand, and saw this position was available, and went back to my roots and as the market leader for the energy group at Endeavor.
That's amazing. We hear so many times with our guests, so many of our guests, they didn't start off wanting to be in sales or marketing. Maybe they were engineers or they did something else. Even in my career, I never
Right.
wanted to go into sales, and somehow
Here you
I
are.
wound up in sales. And you know, tell me about that feeling when you were like, "There's no way I want to do sales." Like, what was going through your mind?
I was like, well, and I guess that it comes from, whatever your background or your experience is, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't have like a commission-based job. I don't know what, I have to have something that's stable and I can depend on it every month. And you're
Sure.
thinking, oh my gosh. And then you start thinking about it. And I think that good salespeople, especially, have a very entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. Sure.
And making sure that, you're finding salespeople on your team that have that, because I've always looked at it as my business and how can I run and make my business more successful.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where it comes from, is really, there's no way I'm doing this. And then you find out, oh my gosh, you get that first commission check and you're like, holy cow,
Yeah.
what was I thinking?
Exactly. You're like, whoa, what if I sold 10 times as much? Yeah.
Right.
That's what you
Right.
want. You want them looking at that upside and not the downside. I think that's a great way of thinking about it, because salespeople, you have to have a strong mindset and be risk tolerant,
Right.
right? And if they're only focusing on the fact that they might not make their commission, that is definitely not the right headspace for a salesperson to be in.
Right. Right. I mean, there's that fear factor, but it's like, how you have to look at the bigger picture on how we can grow. What's the strategy that you're going to put in place in order to set yourself up for success, not just today, but as we were saying, next month, next quarter, next
Yeah.
year, over the next 5 years. What is that going to be?
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely, you got to kind of plot it along.
Right. Right.
Well, tell me about your day-to-day job now, because you're the VP over there, and you got a lot of responsibilities. So tell me about a day in the life of Diana Smith.
You know, I say that I have the best job. I absolutely love what I do, because I get to interact with our editorial team as well as the sales team. And with the fact that I have the oil and gas group as well as the power utility, so I have a couple of brands that are very international brands.
Yeah.
And so I get to have the international sales team as well.
Oh, nice.
And being able to deal on a global basis with the international people, as well as the North American sales reps, as well as the editorial team, and then our customer marketing and our audience development. That's my day, is making sure all of these pieces are coming together
Sure.
in order to fulfill the strategy that we have in place in order to move our business forward.
Yeah. How do you like the editorial side?
I love the editorial side because my background was PR, so I
Yeah.
feel like I understand the editorial team and all of the challenges that they have a little bit better than someone who might come in that is very sales focused.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, being able to, put your stamp on that too, and say, here's what, having the customer in mind, like, here's what our clients are concerned about right now.
Right.
Maybe you could do some, take an angle on that,
And that's very much what we do as well. At Endeavor, we have an internal thought process called the Blue Triangle, where we're trying to make sure that everything comes together, and making sure that the editorial team is supporting the audience that our customers are trying to reach.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Your customers' customers.
our customer's customer. Yes.
Yeah.
All of everyone in that entire life cycle, if you will, to make sure that we're drawing and bringing in those audiences.
Talk to us about some of the brands that are underneath the Endeavor Media umbrella, because I think a lot of our listeners will probably know many of them.
I'm sure they would. The great thing is that Endeavor, I mean, we have over 100 different media brands. We have over 60 different events. So in the oil and gas sector, we have Oil and Gas Journal, and offshore, those are under my purview, as well as T&D World, which is the power utility side. We also have, I said, Trailer Bodybuilders. We have a dental brand. We have buildings and construction for both the residential as well as the commercial side of the business. So our media goes as well as processing brands and manufacturing. So we have so many different brands that I think we really and truly cover just about every industry that's pretty much out there.
That is so cool. With my background, I definitely knew Oil and Gas Journal for sure,
Right.
and Offshore, great magazines for sure, and I'm still calling them magazines,
It's okay.
brands,
That's
but
okay.
but I know there's so much more than that.
Right.
It's so good to think about how the media has changed, because I think it wasn't that long ago that we were whenever I was working with the media and the trade journals, and they were really all about selling a printed page.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking, guys, the world has changed, but they had that model so ground in their heads. But now you look at the way, like you guys especially, are doing things, and you've got so many, you've broadened so much beyond just the print magazine.
Yeah. The print magazine, it's like, that's just one, in my opinion, very small piece of the pie. There's so many other things that we can do to help our customers get their message out, not only to the audience that they're trying to reach, but being able to make sure that they accomplish their marketing goals and objectives. Because really and truly, at the end of the day, it's about them and what it is that they need. So,
yeah, that's cool. And I know, like, some of your videos and things like that you guys are doing are really branched out, and it's really it's amazing content.
It's not only the videos, but it's also our podcasts that we have.
Yeah.
So within my group alone, we have 3 podcasts, and the one Oil and Gas Journal has the Oil and Gas Reenterprise, but on the T&D World brand, the podcast there, we have T&D World Live, but the really exciting and fun one is Line Life, and we actually have conversations with line workers.
Oh, that's cool.
And what they experience, because, especially being here in Houston, we know we're going to lose power.
Yeah.
At some point throughout the year.
Yeah.
Whether it's for a couple hours or a couple of days,
weeks.
a couple weeks.
Like last year?
Right, and a couple of different times.
Yeah, exactly.
So, having those podcasts and being able to tell those stories of really and truly what a day in the life is of these people and, what they have to go through, it's really interesting, and it's great to hear that.
I want the linemen have some really...
They have some good
great stories.
Yes. And we also have, we work with the Linemen's Rodeo. It's in Kansas City every year. And
I didn't know there was such a thing.
It's so cool. They go to Kansas City, and the linemen compete. And they call it the Linemen's Rodeo. Like, we have the rodeo here, but this is a rodeo where they have to climb, who can climb
a pole.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they have to have an egg in their mouth as they're climbing the pole. And if they crack it, they're automatically disqualified.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be fun to watch.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
They get to bring their families, and
Yes.
families cheer for them and all that.
Yes. It's a very family-oriented event.
Wow. Who knew? All right.
Who knew?
I need tickets to that. I'm going.
Yes. Yes. Come on.
Get some Kansas City barbecue on.
Right. October this year.
I love it. So how long have you been in this new role?
I've been with Endeavor for about 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. So that's enough time. You got it all figured out now. But
all of it.
What's one thing you know now that you wish you would have known on day one?
I think that, and I think that this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, is about media and the changes.
Mhm.
I think the world of media is changing so fast. And I think with the adoption of AI, if I would have known how AI was actually, and I think that, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, AI, this big bad, everything's going to be automated. There's always going to be a process. And it's a tool. And being able to use that tool and implement it within our lives, how much easier and better it is going to be able to support all of us, especially in our media careers.
Yeah. Well, you think about everybody thinks about when they think about the media, they think about the, front cover of a magazine or the podcast or whatever, but there's a lot of boring and tedious work
Right. Right.
also that needs to get done, right?
Yes. Yes. Think about putting those scripts together and things like that for the webinars we do, and, finding questions that, the editorial team can ask of, you know, when they're doing their interviews and things. There's a lot of good things that they can implement, as
Yeah.
well as proofreading.
Yeah, for sure. Oh
Right.
my God. I'm dyslexic. So,
Right.
AI and, Grammarly and, all the different things have really like saved my bacon. And
Right.
really,
Right.
I couldn't have, if I would have grown up in the era of this typewriters, my career would have been pretty short. I've been probably a plumber. Oh, yeah, that's great. So, how are you guys using AI at the magazine? Are you using it for efficiency gain? Are you using it for content creation, or are you using it? How are you guys using it?
So we use the AI on the editorial team really is for efficiency. And then any of our editorial content, we run it through AI. So it's kind of like an editorial intern,
Yeah,
because we have a great editorial team that has, you know, over 100 years of experience just within my group. And that, historical knowledge and industry information, you're not going to get that
yeah,
through necessarily an AI tool. However, it can learn that.
yeah. So did you train it on your voice and your editorial style and all that, training the agent on there
That's
and just
being
filter
worked
through?
on.
Wow. That is so cool when you're able to do that and you can run it through your voice and
Yes.
everything, and just when you see the results of something that's been really an AI that's really been trained well, you go, wow, you can't distinguish that it was not written by a human, it's
Right.
it's pretty amazing.
Right.
Yeah. Efficiency is what we are using AI for too at our company, just because we're a small, lean team, and our clients ask they want us to do a lot of work. And so it's really good to help us to be a lot more efficient and, limit human error.
And that's really, I think that that's the big piece of the AI puzzle, is limiting human error,
Yeah.
because we all make mistakes.
Sure. Yeah.
And if we can have something that we can just, run an email through to say, hey, add a comma here. That comma could have changed a lot of things.
Yeah. Let's eat grandma.
Right.
Let's eat grandma.
Exactly.
Very different. Oh man. So, it's interesting, since you're working with the editorial team and you're a marketer and you're doing sales. What do you see as the biggest obstacles that you guys are facing from a sales and marketing perspective in your industry?
I mean, I think every industry always has obstacles. I think that for us, it's just about streamlining processes and making sure that we are following those processes. It's like the pipelines. You go to sales, you've got pipelines, marketing people, they're trying to make sure that the content that they're producing is resonating with our clients. And then you talk about AI, and it's like, there are AI tools that can help you with subject lines so that your emails can get open fast. So it's like, how do we implement all of these things? And I think that technology is moving so quickly that it's really hard to keep up with that. And so that's a big challenge, I think, that any industry, but I think especially media, and especially what we're facing.
Yeah, I can imagine. We run into the same thing. We're always looking for, I guess marketers, we love shiny new things always. And so we're always looking for some cool technology and some cool AI, you know, tool, and our team brings them all the time. Like, hey, let's try this, let's try that, and you cannot build a process or have any kind of governance when you're introducing a new tool every week.
Right.
And by the way, I'm one of the worst offenders at that. So it is. I think I'm not naturally a process person, but we have people in our organization that definitely are, and they were really bothered by it. So, but it is a challenge. It is an obstacle for sure.
Right, because if you have to have that fine line, because too many processes, you lose the creativity. Yeah. Whereas if you have no guardrails at all, then things start getting lost. So you have to have that balance.
You do have to have the balance. I feel like I remember getting into an argument earlier in my career with my boss, and he was like, "We got to get our processes straight here," and I was like, "I don't even like our output now. Like, let's get a good product,
Right?
And then we'll build processes around that. If we build a process now, we're gonna get a lousy product."
Right, right. We have got the chicken and the egg here.
Yeah, it's like let's build something we like first,
right,
and then build a process to consistently be able to deliver that.
Exactly.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about your industry?
Are you asking from media endeavor
Yeah,
or from
media
like oil and
endeavor,
gas?
Well, I'll do both. You're an expert on both of this. Start with endeavor in the media industry.
I think that the media industry, I think in today's society, we've got so many influencers, so many people that are out there that are media experts.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, who is the expert then? If everyone's an expert, no one's an expert.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that it's about touting the credibility, especially of our editorial teams, of the content that we're producing, their knowledge, their industry knowledge, and where they come from and their backgrounds and histories, because they've been following these markets for a very, very long time,
Sure.
whichever market they've become the subject matter expert within.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Any fool with a microphone, including me.
I'm right here with you.
No, that's right. That's a really good point, because if you've been following this industry for so long, I've spoken to to editors at different trade publications, and I've always been impressed with their knowledge and I think having that history.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, this is just like when in 1995.
Right.
It's like, wow, it's good to have somebody with that kind of depth.
Right. And it's so funny because I have one of our editors, actually, is because we actually have our old magazines that are in a warehouse.
Oh my gosh.
Dating back. We have some oil and gas journal magazines that are bound copies from like the 1920s.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
I had
wild.
an editor ask, well, can I go in and take a look at all this historical data? Like, they actually go back and research this stuff when they're getting ready to prepare a piece. So it's not like, and they know where to look as well as the interesting piece of it.
Yeah, really. When you're talking about those old magazines, I had this envision in my head of that scene from Indiana Jones.
Yes.
The massive warehouse.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Man, that's cool. Maybe you can use AI to build the whole library of that knowledge. That'd be pretty cool.
It would be.
Oh man. Well, what about the oil and gas industry? What do you in the energy industry as a whole? What do you think is the
Well, I mean, I think that the biggest obstacle is the fact that whether it be like the energy industry, so I think that, whether it be whoever your utility is, your electric utility company, they get a bad rap for not being able to be ahead of the game. But you never know, especially like in Houston, we never know what storm is going to yield the results. And I mean, in Center Point, the last, when we had our last storm, Beryl, they had electricity and power back in record time.
Yeah.
And
except my neighborhood for some reason.
Right.
I was like, come on.
So I think that, whatever industry it is, that they're under a microscope in so many ways. Oil and gas is kind of like the big bad oil and gas industry. But oil and gas is the industry that is creating all of these new technologies for whether we say green energy or energy transition. They're at the forefront of that. So I think that a lot of these industries are getting a lot of negativity around them, whereas I think that we have to also do a better job of telling our story.
Yeah, I think that the oil and gas industry is an industry that did not do a very good job of telling their story, and they just kind of let other people control the narrative
Right.
about the industry and about energy and what's clean and what's not clean, and all these things. And I wish they would do a better job of saying, yeah, but hold on, have you considered this? Have you considered this? Have you, because
I agree.
if you look at some of the countries in Europe that have undergone some of these clean energy policies, it's really hurt their economy. It's hurt their people. Look at Germany. Really going through a tough time. They were Europe's manufacturing powerhouse,
Right.
and now with expensive energy and a unreliable grid, they're really struggling. And I hate to see that because it's a great country.
Right. And I know that in the UK, they had to fire up the coal plants last winter.
Yeah. So you go, wow, that's not. I'll take natural gas any day.
Right. Right.
Over coal.
Yes. Yes. It's a conversation.
It should be a conversation where they can have that dialogue and say, look, sure, there's clean hydrogen would be great, or
Wind energy.
yeah, all these other things.
Right.
But there's no silver bullets.
Right.
Everything has its pluses and its negatives.
Yes.
And it takes carbon to produce those wind turbines, right?
and I say, the silver bullet that we have are our people.
Especially in the oil field, for sure. I think that, I've run across so many really intelligent people in the companies I've worked with in the past, and you just go, wow, this is really interesting. And, the international aspect of it is really, you really just get to meet some of the best and brightest people from around the world.
And they truly care.
Yeah. When you think about caring in your industry, being able to care about your the industries that you guys are serving is part of it. How do you guys manage for that and look for that in a company like Endeavor?
Well, I think that it's a matter of finding out what people love and what they really sort of gravitate to. So one of my salespeople, one of the brands I have is Energy Tech, which is more on the energy transition side for the commercial industrial side of the industry. But he had so many different brands that he was working with, and he was selling all of these different things. And I said his love was really on the renewable side and that energy tech side. And then we also have another brand, Microgrid Knowledge. And I said, let's focus on these two brands this year.
Yeah.
Let's pull it back. Let's pull things back, because sometimes it's about opening things up for more opportunity. Sometimes it's, we have to have a focus.
Sure, yeah.
And this guy has taken this territory and he has run full force into it. And I think it's really about identifying what people are good at.
Sure.
Because normally if someone's good at something, guess what? They love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And vice versa. If they love it, then they're pretty good at it.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Where do you see the media industry going over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, that's been a big conversation over the past couple of days that we've had internally. I think that the media industry is going to, over the next 5 years, I think it's going to evolve. It's in a constant evolution. I don't think that AI is one of the, it's going to stop with AI. And I think that AI is going to evolve, and we're going to have another technology probably within the next 3 to 5 years. But the biggest thing that I see for marketers as well as our clients is the search functionality. I think that search functionality, and I shouldn't say I say this, but our CEO was saying that some of the stuff that he's read, some of the stuff that he has been taking a look at, so I'm borrowing from his phrase, is that search functionality is really going to drop. And it's about, and that organic traffic is going to drop. So how do we continue to help our clients meet those buyers and finding out what that buyer intent is and being able to, so one of our products, Personify, which I think that you are a little bit familiar with, but having that AI technology on the back end in order to be able to support driving traffic to someone's site based on the content that we have out there.
Yeah, that that is something we see with our clients. Is we're looking at their at everybody's data. What keywords are bringing
Right.
people to the website and what the traffic looks like, and all of them had a dip about the same time.
Right.
And we were like, what the heck happened in this time? Well, the first time we saw it, we're like, what happened? Did you guys do this? Did you do that? And we're trying to figure out why the dip. And we saw it with another customer and another customer. We saw it with our own data. And that dip coincided with when Google started putting the AI
Yep.
synopsis
Right.
at the top of right at the top.
Right.
And so you go, wow, that really knocked a dent. And I was at a conference the other day, and they said that reduced overall search traffic by 30%.
Yeah. And that's just today.
That's
Imagine what it's
today.
going to be
Right.
next year at this time.
Yeah.
So we should do a follow-up.
Yeah. Well, it makes you wonder, you
Right.
think what's headed Google's way
Right.
with that. But I think there's going to be a whole group of people who don't even think to Google something, right? They're just
Right.
going to ask it directly to ChatGPT or
Right. Or
Gemini
Siri.
or whatever they use. Yeah. They're just going to say, hey, what about this?
Right.
And they're not going to search and go to a website. They're going to get that answer right in their ear. So it's really interesting times because, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, we thought, well, they've cornered search. They won. Like, I know Bing's out there and, all that other, but like, let's just face it, Google won.
Right. Right.
And like, who's going to supplant them? Well, something always comes around.
Something always comes around. I mean, and it's, you have to be adaptable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, except when you build your whole business model around search.
Right.
Oh man. Well, that is such a great topic. What all are you guys doing to prepare for that change on your side?
Really and truly for us, I mean, it's really about our content and making sure that we are in front of this and being able to adapt to AI and the AI technology and being able to, our content is so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's one of the things with Endeavor. Our audiences are so broad across multiple markets. And then we have the crossover. So, I mean, we look at oil and gas and it's like, well, why, if someone's reading oil and gas journal, they could very well be reading one of our other processing brands.
Yeah.
Sites like Control or Process Engineer. Because, I mean, if you remember back in the day, you would walk into someone's office, they didn't just have oil and gas journal.
Yeah, sure.
They had multiple magazines sitting on their desk. So it's, people are going to multiple sources to find the information that they're looking for. And that's what Endeavor is able to do, is to be able to look at what our audience is and to be able to sell, or to talk to clients as well as our readers across multiple segments of the industry. And so that's really what we're doing to prepare for that, is being able to have that crossover with regards to content, and then being able to make sure that our advertisers are in front of that specific audience and that buyer that they want to be in front of.
That's a really good point too, because I think about, when I go down the thread, it's interesting how my mindset changed on that. I was like, I don't want an AI synopsis. I want to judge it. I want to control this myself. I don't want to figure it out myself. I don't want AI telling me what I should be looking at. And but then I was like, well, that's a pretty good answer. That's pretty good. And then if I wanted to find out more, I'd click it, and then it would take me to somebody's website.
Right.
And so the thing that I think you guys have going for you in the media, especially Endeavor, is you will have a full answer for a lot of these topics.
Yes.
You would, just by the nature of your content.
Right.
I mean, that's what you guys do. You're answering these questions that the people in the industry want to know.
Right. At the end of the day, it's all about It's about making sure that we have that content and that we're continuously improving,
Yeah.
whether it be continuously trying to improve our processes, our content, and our people as well.
I think that is in marketing, and I consider media part of that whole marketing
Right.
ecosystem. Is definitely a lifelong learners industry.
Yes.
I think if you're in media or marketing and or sales, and you don't want to get better, you're not going to be in this industry for very long.
Well, I think you have to stay curious.
Yeah.
And I think that if you don't have someone that's curious, that's always trying to find something out or to look for a new way of doing things and to
Yeah.
also be open to trying something new.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, think about if you think about the trade publications, podcasts were such a perfect thing
Right.
for the trade media.
Right.
And you can get such much richer answers and go deeper on so many topics than you can with the printed word, I think.
Right. Right. And I listen to some of the podcasts at Endeavor. I mean, some of the ones I listen to personally as well. But, you know, I love listening to the conversations that the editorial team has because it's almost like you have a little front row seat
Oh, yeah.
as to their interview process and what they go through when they're developing long form content
Yeah.
versus you read something and it's just, one-sided.
Yeah.
Whereas that podcast allows you that little
Yeah.
peek under behind the curtain.
Yeah, for sure. And you can hear the source's voice, right?
Right.
Literally answering the question. And I think there's some nuance that
Yes.
you can get from that you can't get with a printed word.
Right. Right.
I'm maybe a little biased to it because I'm dyslexic. So,
Right.
reading to me is a lot more work than listening.
Right.
And so I've been addicted to podcasts for a long time and audiobooks and the whole life.
Right.
But I love interviews and I love hearing those thoughtful answers and good interview questions. So it's really, I'm completely addicted to 'em.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
What, I know maybe this might get you in a little trouble, but I'm going to ask you anyway, what's your favorite podcast that Endeavor does?
I would say it's the Line Life podcast.
Yeah.
I love listening to the stories, those frontline stories of the line workers.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Because that, we talk about having like some insight into a day in the life, and that really allows you to hear about, what these line workers have to do. I mean, especially, and I think it's so interesting that with, during a storm, how they basically just descend. They follow the weather patterns and everything, but they basically descend on a city in order to get that power back up as quickly as possible.
It is amazing the logistics that go into that.
Yes.
We had a client that was, they rented tents, like nice, heavy duty
Right.
tents. And I was like, and we talked to them and they were like a $20 million company, but during the pandemic, they had the biggest year of their lives. And they had over $100 million. They went from like 20 million to $100 million. I said, how did you do that? And they said, well, we rent tents, and normally we rent tents for like chemical refineries and things like that when they're doing a turnaround. So we have like a mess tent and a place where people can sleep and all these other things. But we also rent them for natural disasters. And so when COVID happened, all the tents you would see in the parking lots, they rented those tents. And then there had forest fires that year too. Well, when they deployed the firefighters, they set up a tent city for them. And then there was also a couple of big hurricanes that year. And so they set up for all the linemen that when they come in to get the power back on, they stay in these guys' tents. And I was like, that is a crazy business. Can you imagine making $100 million renting tents?
And it works.
Yeah.
And it's because they are creative about it.
Yeah. I was like, that's
a great case study.
That is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yes.
They were the only client that we met that said, usually when we meet, we ask clients like, what are you trying to do? And they always want to grow. They want to grow a certain percentage every year. Some it's wild, some it's a little bit, sometimes it's a lot. And then these guys were like, we actually don't anticipate that we'll grow. We think we'll probably fall 50%. And I was like, what?
And they're
And
just
that's when they
trying to
told me
hold
the
them.
story. I was like,
Right.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, because if they hit 50 million, that's still over twice as big as they were the year before.
Right.
The big, the catastrophic year.
That's funny. But the thing is, what's great about that client is that they're already planning
Yeah,
and looking ahead.
they're very strategic.
Yes.
These
And
guys.
they aren't saying, okay, well, we're going to have another COVID year. So they're actually going and making that plan and putting the plan in place, knowing that they're not going to run all these tents.
Yeah, yeah. What a wild,
That's a great
what a wild
story.
business, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some emerging trends that you see in the media industry. What do you see out there that you guys are doing that you are you really feel like are working for your clients and that you guys like?
So the biggest trend I see is the AI technology, like the
Mhm.
Personify, which marries our clients' content with our content to drive traffic to their site. I also see that lead gen is a big part of our clients. And I think that the clients more so than ever want to be seen as a thought leader within their markets
Yeah,
because they want to have that credibility of being the expert.
yeah, absolutely. And we see it a lot where we have some clients that are probably the thought leaders in their industry. We have other people that are not seen as a thought leader, and we talk to their subject matter experts. We're like, "Hey, you're just as smart as these guys.
Right.
Why
Right.
does anybody know about you guys? You got to get out there. You got to get your voice out there."
And that's really it, is helping people get that voice out there to be that expert. And, I think it's a combination because so many people want to just do one thing. And it's like, well, no, you've got to do, if you have like, we've talked about, an integrated campaign
Yeah, that's right.
across multiple avenues, that's going to help you so much more than just that,
Oh my gosh, we had
you know,
that conversation
find a
just
printout.
today with a client. They're like, "What tactic are we going to use?" I was like, "We're going to use a whole host of them.
Right. It's
We'll
not just
still
one.
we'll consider your budget, for sure.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the ultimate guiding light here is we're
Hmm.
not going to exceed your budget. But if I told you that we're just going to, and beware anybody who tells you they're going to try one tactic. If they say we're going to do LinkedIn advertising and that's it. Well, guess what? You might have some luck. Like you said, the blind squirrel
Finds a
finds a
nut.
nut every once in a while. But if you really want to get sustained results, you've got to do a lot of. It's good to spread your chips around the board a little bit.
Right.
I'll sell you I'll put a little plug in for Personify. We used it for one of our clients, and
Right.
it was such a high performing channel. It really was great. I
Yes.
remember you talked to me about it at the beginning, and I was like, that sounds really intriguing. I think that would be cool because we were kind of just like
Right.
looking at it like we can just do an ad.
Right.
You had our audience, and so we thought let's just get our ads in front of the right eyeballs here. And
Right.
then when you described that to me, I was like, that seems very interesting. Do you want to go in a little more depth about Personify?
I mean, I personally, and I tell everyone, I'm like, if you are going to do one thing, it should be Personify, because the advertiser, whoever it is, gives us 10 pieces, 10 links. They don't even have to give us the content. It's 10 links. It can be press releases, case studies, white papers, whatever it is, to their site. And we have a back end tool that scans those pieces of content, scans the content on our site as well. And if we have, when someone goes to our site and is looking for, let's just say in the oil and gas industry, managed pressure drilling, and we have one of our clients who happens to be an expert on managed pressure drilling, and that's one of the pieces of content they gave us. A little box pulls up in the bottom and it says, hey, would you like more information from our partner? And gives the advertiser's name, and it directs them to that white paper or case study or whatever. And what we see, we have a 3-month minimum on that, because that first month we're learning about their content and about also our traffic.
Uh-huh.
And so we have that baseline. The first month is always the baseline. And then the second month, we're going to see an increase in that. And it's what that increase is the number of people that we're sending back to those sites. So it's driving traffic to someone's site. And then that third month, it just increases even more. And I mean, I think that we have, I think it's 87% of the advertisers renew with Personify because it is such a powerful tool.
We did. We renewed and we did it
Yes.
for a while, and
Yeah.
we burned out our content. We had to, we saw that it was that hockey stick like you're
Right.
talking about, and then it kind of leveled off, and then
Right.
it started dipping down.
Right.
And you guys were like, "Hey,
Add some more pieces.
you need some new pieces," and
Yeah.
so we did. So we went and we updated it, some new case studies. We had some new videos.
Yeah.
Videos performed very well. By the
Okay.
way,
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
those were our highest performing pieces on there were videos.
Yeah.
And luckily we had produced a lot of videos.
There you go. I mean, I love it. And I think everyone should be using Personify personally, but
Yeah. We got great results with it.
good.
For sure.
Good.
So one thing that we always talk about when we're together is business development
Yeah.
and managing salespeople and those kinds of things. What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned on the sales front in your career?
Talk to everyone and take as many meetings as you can.
Yeah.
If I have an opportunity to have a conversation with someone, I'll do it. And it doesn't. I was at a conference recently, and there was a young woman that started talking to me, and I was busy, but she was great, and so she and I met for coffee last week, and it's not necessarily that you never know what you're going to find out or what you're going to learn or how there could be some interaction and what might happen later on. So it's a new contact, and I think that especially we're talking about media and where media is going, and I think that it's about those relationships as well, as much as it is about developing content or your subscriber lists or your likes or whatever that is. But I think it's also about learning as much as you can from the people that are around you.
Yeah, I think that is so true. You just never know.
You never know.
That person that you bump into at a conference,
Right.
they can turn into an awesome referral partner or
Exactly.
customer at some point, and or maybe like somebody you can recommend for one of your other friends. Say,
Right.
Hey, look, you should talk to so and so.
Right. Right. And you never know. You might need their skills at some point.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you touched on a little while ago that I thought was really interesting is the new brands that you're launching
Yes.
in new energy. Tell me about that. At the end of the day, you're selling eyeballs, right?
Right.
And so how is it to develop a whole new editorial brand? How is that?
Fun.
Yeah.
So Energy Tech is one of our newest brands. It's been around for about 3 years. And, with it being about the commercial industrial sector of the energy transition, we at Endeavor have, like I said, we have over 100 different brands. So being able to pull from, whether it be EV charging from our automotive brands or from the oil and gas industry, from the energy transition, but being able to pull those audiences and say, hey, we've got a new brand over here that might be interested because, kind of like Personify, we saw that you were interested in these different topics.
Yeah.
You might be interested in, taking a look at some of the content we have over here. So that's how we start building the brand. And then, it's about putting out the social media, making sure that the editorial pieces are tagged for the SEO, for the, our search engines and things, and hoping that we're going to be coming up in that little block of AI.
Yeah. Exactly.
At some point as well. But, we're seeing, and building a brand is not something that happens overnight.
Yeah.
But the more we put that brand out there, the more we use our resources as well as the social media resources that we have, then we're seeing that uptick. And I think that the audience grows about, I'm going to say it's about being conservative when I say a 15% month over month growth.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing pretty well.
It won't take long.
It's not going to take long. We're going to get there. So I'm excited about it.
Well, it's such an interesting topic, and I think
Right.
something people are very interested in, and like you said, you have a nice crossover audience with doing
Right.
the oil and gas, journal.
Right.
You've they're the people that are leading the new energy or the old energy a
Right.
lot of times, right?
A lot of times. Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, you've got that carryover. So
Right.
that is, I bet that is really exciting to see that growth.
It is. It is. It's a lot of fun, and watching, watching that brand evolve
Yeah.
is, I think, really one of the key things.
How did you get, the editorial staff, to come in and join that join you and tell those stories?
And the editorial staff, I mean, it's, once again, it's like kind of pulling from the other brands,
Mhm.
making sure all of these audiences work together. But then the editorial staff, who we brought on for this, uh, I think that the editor that we have, he's originally from the newspaper industry.
Oh, wow.
And once again, I think it's a matter of having those conversations. He was brought on prior to me
Mhm.
coming into place. And I think it's a matter of having those conversations again and making sure that that's something that the person is passionate about
Yeah.
and truly cares about,
Yeah.
and not just sort of pigeonholing someone into some one specific area.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
And they're going to be successful then.
yeah. Well, I love newspaper people. I think
Right.
that they are always, like, to me, like, when you think about journalism and all that, like, it's like a newspaper that
Right.
is,
Oh, yes. Yes. And producing a lot of content. Yes.
that's the
Right. Right.
have daily deadlines.
Exactly. Right. Anyone starting out, I think the most important thing, talk to everyone, you know, build your build your own personal brand, build your network, and ask questions. You can't ask enough questions, and never worry about something being a dumb question. I ask plenty of dumb questions, I can tell you that, but
Me too. I
yeah,
do it for a living. That's what I do
right,
for a living.
right.
The questions.
Yeah. I don't know how this works. I mean, so you have to ask the questions around it, and just know that we've all been there in our careers. And if you're going to fail, fail fast so that all of us who have been doing this for a while can help support you.
I'm really
Right.
tired.
Right. Right.
You're
You're paralyzed. Yeah. Right. And learn from it.
exactly.
Yeah. Yep. It's a hard one,
Yeah.
but it's a good one.
That's why it's good.
Right.
You're like, "Oh, I don't want to do that again."
No. I mean, I think that we have covered a lot of topics, and I think that everything from editorial content to marketing to sales, how that all interacts and works together. And I think the only other piece I would add is making sure that whether it's in your career or working with clients or working internally, that you have to realize that you have audiences everywhere and being able to identify, who you're working with. And I was on a call last week, and it was an internal call, and this woman was asking me. I said, "Listen," I said, "You know what? I'm a bridge, and my goal is just to keep this bridge intact for everyone to be able to cross this bridge from, whether it be from the content piece to the marketing piece to the sales piece, to make sure all of these pieces come together."
Yeah. Well, you're a good bridge because I can
Well,
tell you,
thanks.
that's why I've worked with you at like probably 4 different publications,
Right,
right?
right.
And because I know that you were really helping, we want to help me and my clients get in front of the people that we need to get in front of.
Right.
And that's the way you saw it. You weren't just trying to get a commission
Right.
check or whatever. And I really feel like that was so we built a relationship of trust. And I was like,
Right.
you came to me, and I remember you came to me when you were at the Chronicle,
Yes.
and I was like, I don't know, this is not going to really,
Right.
I don't
Do
know, it's
anything
going to
for
help
us.
our clients. The Chronicle is kind of a more general reader,
Right.
nerdy, super engineering kind of clients, and then you were
Right.
building out a new brand then,
Right.
and I was like, yeah, that actually makes sense,
Right.
and so yeah, it was really, it's really great when you can, I think if a young person's getting into sales and all that, if they would, if they just are out there trying to close deals and meet their quota or whatever, you're never going to be able to build a relationship like that.
Right. And the thing, and then I think it goes back to that trusted advisor where, we trust each other.
Sure.
And you're not going to have that immediately.
Yeah.
And it has to be built over time.
Yeah. Well, I think especially in the media, right?
Right.
So your readers have to trust you.
Right.
Your advertisers have to trust you.
Yes.
The agencies that you're talking to sell the media or the ads to have to trust you. And you have to, not only that, but, when I sell something to my clients, I have to trust that I'm giving them a good recommendation. It's really going to get results for them because, you're judged on return on investment
Exactly.
more than ever now.
Yes.
And I think that's just only going to continue to grow.
And then,
if you don't have that trust, if I'm like, oh man, I don't know if they were telling me a good game, but I don't know if I believe this person. Well, it'd be very hard for me to pull the trigger and recommend you to our clients.
exactly. Because if you don't, and I think that I've had clients come to me before, advertisers, and say, well, why should I believe you? And I would, my comment was always, well, if it doesn't work, you're not going to do business with me again.
Yeah.
And I think and not everything's perfect.
Sure.
But it's being able to, I think, be upfront and honest, have that transparency.
Yeah.
As to when something isn't working as well. We always like to talk about all the good things.
Sure.
But,
Yeah. Everybody's got a positive case study.
Right.
Like, tell me your worst.
Right. Where's the bump in the road?
Yeah.
And when you hit that bump in the road, once again, I think it's about how you I don't want to say get out of trouble.
Sure.
Get out of that,
You got to recover.
Yeah. How do you recover and how fast do you respond? And what does that response look like?
Yeah, that's right. It's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get, or how fast you get back up.
Right. That resiliency.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Diana, I always enjoy our conversations.
Me too.
You're one of the people I can talk about sales with, marketing with, media, all these different things. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I also want to thank the team at Anthem for letting us use this beautiful studio.
This is a great studio.
It really is. We sometimes we do them in our own office, and that's been an evolution. But man, they never look as good as they do whenever we're here in the Anthem studio. So thanks, Anthem guys. Thanks, Nathan, for letting us come on the show and use this beautiful studio.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
And I love these conversations.
Great talking to you.
You too. Thanks.
That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, sharing, or spreading the news about us on your favorite channel. Thank you for tuning into Above the Clouds, Stories from the Boardroom. Until next time, stay above the clouds.